Got a transfer update to bring you now, and Manchester United are expected to make a formal offer to RB Leipzig for the striker Benjamin Sesko. United have been in talks with Leipzig over what they would be prepared to pay. As Sky Sports News reported on Saturday, Newcastle United are in ongoing talks over the structure of a deal after making an official bid worth £69.8 million. Sesko is open to both projects, but one source has told Sky Sports News that he is leaning towards Manchester United if they can agree a deal. United's pursuit of Sesko also throws into question Rasmus Højlund's future at Old Trafford, with United understood to be listening to suitable offers for the striker. So just a reminder, an update for you. Manchester United are expected to make a formal offer to RB Leipzig for the striker Benjamin Sesko.
Right, OK, so we've got Kevin and Dan with us. We talked about why the demand is so big for Sesko, but of course, we are now comparing Sesko to Isak because it might be one out, one in at Newcastle. How different are they as strikers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, physically, they're significantly different. Isak is a lot more polished in what he does, but of course, that's been a process. There is still a rawness about Sesko, but you look at his journey. He was at Salzburg, and he took a while to get going there, but once he did, he started to score goals. And I do think he's dynamic enough. I do think he's physical enough to deal with the Premier League. And what I like about him is that he's not scared to try things. There was a goal towards the back end of last season that I commentated on against Bayern, where the goalkeeper, Jonas Urbich, was a long way off his line. A lot of players would just lift that ball over the top of the goalkeeper. He went, "Now I'll just hit it with the outside of my boot."
Yeah, we've
just backed myself.
Show that goal a lot, and rightly so, because it is.
It's an unbelievable goal.
It does stand out,
and he strikes the ball beautifully. Decision making sometimes needs a bit of work, but he's 22. So I think clubs are looking at him and thinking he's got a high ceiling.
But then, Kevin, I wanted to ask you how, maybe right now, as you mentioned, comparing him to Isak is very different compared to when Isak first joined from Real Sociedad. So when Isak joined Newcastle initially, he felt a little raw in terms of his finishing. So where would you compare Sesko's development to maybe where Isak started when he first came to Newcastle?
Yeah, I think that's fair, actually, because the leap that Isak has made was not guaranteed. And there have been a lot of Premier League clubs that had looked at him and nobody pulled the trigger until Newcastle made that move. And that was always the question, could he translate what he'd done in La Liga to the Premier League? And he's been able to do that. It was interesting, there were a lot of comparisons between Sesko and Gyökeres with Arsenal, because Arsenal have been very interested in him for quite some time and then pivoted to Gyökeres. Gyökeres is probably a win now guy. I think in 2-3 years' time, Sesko, I think, has that higher potential, but I think he can score goals in the short to medium term as well.
Very interesting.
So Pete did say how a deal between Newcastle and Sesko might be close, and there was a big but there, wasn't there? Manchester United could come in as well, and he could go there. Would Manchester United, Dan, potentially have the upper hand because of Rasmus Højlund? Where does he fit into that deal?
It's very interesting, and I think Manchester United's window is going to be very interesting going forward until this deadline. And we know Manchester United have been having conversations with RB Leipzig about what a deal could look like for Sesko. But in terms of what that looks for Rasmus Højlund, let's not forget they spent £72 million